Hey, it's Tunnel Fight here, and today I'm going to be doing a type of video that I've done once before, but never again, and that is how I would book whatever the angle is. So last time I did how I book WrestleMania 33. In hindsight, I didn't do it very well, but I've definitely improved, and this one's one you're going to enjoy, because it's how WWE should book, or well, how I book, because I don't want to rip off Mr. Old Plumpy over at What of the Culture, and that is how I would book Brock Lesnar's WWE Universal Championship reign. So, Brock Lesnar is one of the very few really genuinely good things that are consistently good in WWE today, and I think it's only fitting that I give my input on how I think his title reign of the Universal Championship in 2017 should go. And it's a long one. I'm just gonna warn you, it's a long reign, and not because I love Brock Lesnar, but just because I want to have a lot of matches, and hopefully you'll enjoy them. So let's start off where we are today. So where we are right now, or at least where I am, we are building towards Great Balls of Fire 2017. So Great Balls of Fire 2017 is opponent Samoa Joe. I can't change that, it's already happened. That's fine. So, for Great Balls of Fire, I'd have Brock Lesnar beat Joe, obviously. I wouldn't have it via Nakamura, I'd have it obviously by F5 so that Joe is protected. And I'd have them both look really good. And obviously, it's obviously going to be a very good match. It's going to be very, very fun to watch. And, you know, it's just going to be brilliant because Brock Lesnar's brilliant and Samoa Joe's brilliant, so there's nothing really that can go wrong. So Samoa Joe will come very close to beating Lesnar, but he won't do it. So then Joe, because he came very close to doing so, will claim a rematch. He wants to have his rematch for the Universal Championship. And Kurt Angle says, yeah, it's fine, but we're going to do something special. This is a little mini tournament that happens on Monday Night Raw, and whoever wins that tournament will go on to face, or whoever wins the semi-final of the tournament will go on to face Samoa Joe in the very final of the tournament, and then that winner of that match will go on to face Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 2017. So I'd have the person that wins the tournament be Finn Balor, and he faces Samoa Joe. You see, this is the problem. I'd have it on pay-per-view, but there isn't a pay-per-view between Great Balls of Fire and SummerSlam. So, Finn Balor vs Samoa Joe, it will happen on Raw, it will obviously be the main event. And I'd put Balor over Joe, so Balor faces Lesnar at SummerSlam. Obviously an awesome build. Obviously nothing more needs to be said. It'll be an awesome match. So I'd have Finn Balor lose, obviously, to Brock Lesnar. But post-match, Lesnar, for whatever reason, well, that reason actually just being that he's Brock fucking Lesnar, he'll absolutely decimate Balor, and he'll be off of TV just for a little while, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, nothing too drastic because Balor's a very good wrestler, and it's just fun to see him around. But yes, so he gets kayfabe injured, and he's out for a little bit, which infuriates a little somebody. And that somebody, the next night on Raw, he says, Brock, what are you doing, man? You can't just go around hospitalizing people for no reason. And Brock gets really frustrated at this person. He beats the hell out of him, absolutely brutalizes him in the backstage area, chair shots, maybe put him through a table if you'd like to, just make it an all-out brawl. And that person will then challenge Lesnar to a Hell in a Cell match for the WWE Universal Championship, and that man goes by the name of Seth Rollins. I think really the only person on the roster that could plausibly face Brock Lesnar in his best Hell in a Cell match, in my opinion, is Rollins, just because of how established he is. You have people like Wyatt and you have people like Joe, which would put on awesome matches with Brock Lesnar, but they're just not on a level of development where they could be considered worthy enough to step into the cell with him. And Rollins is one of the best wrestlers on the Raw roster, so I'd personally go with Seth Rollins, and obviously no need to say, but the match would be brilliant, and Lesnar would beat Rollins, so Lesnar's starting to get up some momentum after his whole thing with Goldberg. So, next night, Paul Heyman and Brock come out and they go, look at us, we're so great, we're the best, and then Paul Heyman starts going, there's not a man on the planet that can beat Brock Lesnar. And to a certain extent, that is kind of true. Because, I mean, he's decimated everyone that's challenged against him, whether it be Goldberg or Seth Rollins or anybody. And so that's when Kurt Angle comes out and he says, I have an opponent penciled in for you, Brock, if you'd like me to do that. Brock says, Heyman says, sure. So he goes, this is a man that has traded wins and losses with you on pay-per-view multiple times. This is a man that you've had a storied rivalry with. This is a man that's beaten you on multiple occasions. The crowd is thinking, oh my god, it's going to be Angle. It's going to be Angle. But then Angle announces that the man that will face Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series 2017 is newly enlisted free agent John Cena. Okay, now, I understand you're probably going to want to click off the video now, and that's fine, but let me just get something cleared up. Okay, I'm not a John Cena mark, if you know what I mean. I'm not a massive John Cena fan. I think he's a good wrestler and even better storyteller, and often his packages are quite compelling when paired with the right guy. But you can't deny that Lesnar versus Cena, that it's always a good match. Well, basically, apart from like Night of Champions 2014, it's always a good match. SummerSlam 2014, Extreme Rules 2012, they're all really good matches, and that's because these two guys are both on the top of their game and they have a unique chemistry. So obviously it's not the best match that I could do, but just wait a second and I'll show you. So of course, after the whole thing with Goldberg, Lesnar does need an actually big win on an established star that isn't a newcomer like Seth Rollins to get some momentum back in his way, and I'd have him beat John Cena. Not a complete squash, but I'd still have Lesnar be very dominant during the encounter, and that will be very fun because Lesnar versus Cena is always a good time, regardless of the victor. So that wraps up Survivor Series, and then Brock Lesnar then has to defend his title next at the Royal Rumble. So 4 to 6 weeks before the Rumble, Heyman and Lesnar have showed up again, and they're going, you know, Lesnar, he's the best guy in the world. Beast incarnate, victimized, reigning, defending, universe, you know, that thing. And then Kurt Angle comes out again, and he says, I noticed something about your encounters, Brock. The closest you've come to being defeated was at the hands of Seth Rollins, who you faced in Hell in a Cell. Now, it's evident that you have a tougher time getting the job done when in a hardcore situation. So for that reason, at the Royal Rumble, you're going to be against this man. Points at the stage. No more words. It's Jeff Hardy. It's like, okay, both no more words the song and no more words just the expression. I needn't say any more. Jeff comes out, blah blah blah. Yeah, you know what it does. So then Jeff says, hey Brock, did you miss me? Brock says, yeah, not really, and then starts to chuck Hardy around the ring, which is always entertaining. Hardy, after being destroyed, gets up off the mat and grabs a microphone, and he says, Brock, I officially challenge you at Royal Rumble for the WWE Universal Championship to a TLC match. It's gonna be a good one. So at Royal Rumble 2018, it's Brock Lesnar versus Jeff Hardy, and Brocky Lesnar, he retains like that. He's not dominant, not dominant, so that Hardy can't do anything, because you need to have Jeff, have his spots, have his little moments. But simultaneously, I'm not going to have Jeff win, and I'm not going to have him look better than Lesnar. So, yeah, that sort of thing, So, Lesnar will be doing a lot of the hitting, but the biggest moments of the match will be from Jeff. I mean, you can have a swanton through a table if you'd like. You can have an F5 through a table. But, I mean, we've never seen Lesnar in a ladder match before, and that would be amazing to see, especially against someone on Jeff Hardy's level of hardcore. But I think it'd just be cool, wouldn't it? I mean, Jeff Hardy's a very good hardcore wrestler, and Brock Lesnar's the type of guy that could probably swing his dick into a forest and then make paper out of it. So, it'd just be awesome. So, 4 weeks before WrestleMania, Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar do the same thing. They come out and I'm not, when I say same thing, I don't mean, repetitive as in bad. I don't mean repetitive as in, oh, Reigns is headlining Mania again. I mean repetitive in, like, the way that Heyman's promos are repetitive. It's the same thing, but it's the same good thing, so that's all okay then. So Heyman and Lesnar are getting very cocky, because obviously they would, it's Brock Lesnar. And then Heyman gets Kurt Angle out, rather than Kurt Angle interrupting them. He gets Kurt Angle out, and he tells Angle, we're going to make a big announcement, and we would like the general manager of Raw to be out with us. He says, sure, that's fine. So Heyman starts off by going, hey Angle, I'm really happy you could be out here tonight, because you're our general manager. And he goes, it's all okay. So, classic thing, I am Paul Heyman, this is Rocky Lesnar. And then he says that they got a very special announcement. So, he gets onto the announcement and he says, what's going to happen is for WrestleMania, since Brock Lesnar has proven himself by destroying and decimating and conquering every member of Raw's main roster, he gets to choose. He gets to handpick his exact opponent for the biggest stage of the year. He confirms that this is all okay with the general manager, asking Kurt Angle, is it okay if Brock picks his opponent? Kurt Angle says, under my watch, under my provisional guidance, that is absolutely fine. Heyman then elaborates by saying, I don't know if you know what I quite mean. It can be anyone. You can be from SmackDown, Raw, NXT, even New Japan Pro Wrestling. If Brock Lesnar challenges you, you have to accept. Angle says, that's fine. I don't know about guys from outside of the company, but I'll have to see. Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar talk for a bit without the mic actually being able to pick up what they say. Not for too long, for maybe 15 to 30 seconds. Heyman then goes back to the microphone and he says, me and my client, we have made our decision. We've made our choice. Lesnar taps Heyman on the back and he takes the microphone out of his hand. Not forcefully because, he's his advocate, but he does it respectfully. Takes the microphone out of his hand and he says 4 words. I choose, in his normal steroid-induced high-pitched voice, Kurt Angle. Decks him with a clothesline, delivers an F5 and roars to the camera. Boom! That's insane. So Angle is getting into the shape of his life. He's preparing for probably the biggest match in his entire career against, this Brock Lesnar is probably comparatively more strong than Brock Lesnar from 2002, but, they're still both absolute beasts. So it's WrestleMania 34, and the main event is Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle. You're going to be surprised at this. I'd have Lesnar win, and right, not because I think Lesnar is by any means better than Angle. In my opinion, Kurt Angle is the best professional wrestler of all time. But just simply because Angle's an amazing draw. But the thing about Angle is he's not on, if he had the title, he wouldn't be able to just defend it at the big fours because he's the GM. The way it works with Brock Lesnar is he only shows up sometimes so that management can sort of make you forget about him. However, you're going to be seeing Kurt Angle all the time, and he's going to have the title around his shoulder. And if you just see him all the time walking around and he never defends the championship, then it wouldn't make any sense because he's right there and everyone would be getting really frustrated about it. Also, you're probably saying, why can't he defend the championship at every pay-per-view? And that is a valid point, but it's just because physically, realistically speaking, Kurt Angle wouldn't be able to do it. And also, just because I want to make this run as long as I can for the convenience of the booking video, those are the reasons why I would not have Angle beat Lesnar. Continuing on in chronological order as you tend to do in these videos, the next defense of Lesnar's title would be at the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view in 2018. So, what I'd have a similar scenario to what we've had now. We've had a bunch of qualifying matches on Raw, and then we have a multi-man number 1 contendership match at Extreme Rules. So it's an Extreme Rules Fatal 4-Way number 1 contendership match, pitting Austin Aries versus Cesaro versus Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns. I'd have the winner be Cesaro. And you can't deny that Cesaro versus Brock Lesnar, it's something that we all want to see. Something that you need to remember here is the moment Cesaro gets his win, he becomes a bit more cocky. And I don't mean cocky in the sense of that he's going heel, like someone such as Kevin Owens. I mean cocky in terms of someone such as Eddie Guerrero or Daniel Bryan, where they're confident in their ability due to the fact that they've just beaten someone, and not in a way that they're rude or disrespectful to others, but just in a way so that they're a bit more flashy and take themselves more seriously. So bearing this in mind, Cesaro becomes a bit more, let's just say, big-headed, but as I said, not in a heelish way, and the next night, as soon as Brock Lesnar comes out at the very end of the show, he runs in and uppercuts him, and he falls down and instantly gets back up. And the way I'd have the show end is with Brock Lesnar chasing Cesaro out of the arena. And I'm not saying, Cesaro's going to be giggling and smiling as he runs away. It's serious. I don't want it to be a comedy feud. Cesaro will be over at this point because he's just uppercutted the Beast Incarnate. But yeah, that's just how I'd have the show end, with the graphic of Cesaro running into the crowd with Brock Lesnar tailing shortly behind. Getting to the actual match at Great Balls of Fire, there's no introduction that needs to be done. It'd be an awesome match, but Lesnar would win clean. Sorry Cesaro, you're awesome. You got your chance, but, Brock Lesnar. Next up is SummerSlam 2018. Now, just after WrestleMania 34, and in between the time of that event and the same year's Extreme Rules pay-per-view, Paul Heyman has made the announcement that the first acquisition of Raw's roster, making the shift from SmackDown to Raw, is going to be the man that faces Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 2018. The first announced person to make their shift from SmackDown to Raw is the one and only Shinsuke Nakamura. So that match is firmly slotted in before the whole Cesaro debacle, and then by the time that SummerSlam rolls around, there's been an intense feud built. This match in particular would be one of the best of Lesnar's reigns, and I'd have Lesnar win again, but it'd probably require, let's say, 3 or 4 F5s to beat Nakamura. And I think what I have planned for this match is probably the biggest spot of the entire show. Yeah, it would be the biggest spot of the entire show. I would have the first kick out of the Kinshasa. And now, I know that's controversial. I know no one wants anyone to kick out of the Kinshasa because it's the bloody Kinshasa. I know. Don't worry. But if there's going to be one man that's going to kick out of the Kinshasa for the first time, you can't really argue with Brock Lesnar, can you? And if you're keeping Nakamura looking strong, in that the second Kinshasa supposedly would have beaten Brock, and it took 3 or 4 F5s to get the W over the King of Strong style, then you've done a very good job of making both guys look great. So the next of the big 4 pay-per-views is Survivor Series, and while writing this I noticed there weren't too many matches built around competition between powerhouses, and there weren't actually too many multi-man matches in the booking. So this is a little bit of both. Matches are contested on Raw again for the number 1 contendership for the Universal Championship, and the 2 people who meet in the final at Clash of the Champions are not Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman. I would have the match be a quick one, like the one at Payback, not like their one at Fastlane, because that was like 20 minutes and I did not like any of it. And I'd have the match end in a draw, because while Roman Reigns is an okay wrestler and an okay worker, he can't really carry too many other people. Brock Lesnar's an awesome powerhouse, but sometimes he needs speed of other people to counter his power moves. So example, him versus Rollins and Cena was really effective at the Rumble because they're all 3 different styles, and Rollins and Cena carried a lot of the match. And sometimes Lesnar would just kind of come in and chip in with a few suplexes here and there, and it was really fun. So while Reigns isn't the best wrestler, and neither is Strowman, if anything Strowman's the worst wrestler in the match, you can't deny that Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar would just be really fun, wouldn't it? It'd just be really fun. And of course, without a doubt, I'd have Brock Lesnar win. However, I would have Reigns come within inches of beating Lesnar. Not pinning Lesnar, but within inches of pinning Strowman. And I'd have it happen multiple times in the match, so that way, once he loses, Roman says, I'm not satisfied. He says, to Brock, I want a one-on-one rematch for the Universal Championship. Brock says, cool, bring it on. Royal Rumble 2019 now, so very far into the future, and it's Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Obviously, I would have Brock win, because why not? And in this way, he has a very big win going into his Mania match, because he's just beaten Roman Reigns clean. And speaking of that Mania match, the night after the Royal Rumble, Lesnar's going blah blah blah, I am the best. Heyman's going reigning, defending, conqueror, person who beat the streak, 21-1, conqueror of John Cena, eats pies on the daily. He's attacked mid-promo by a man who loves to jump a lot. That man was one of the acquisitions of the post SummerSlam 2018 draft, and that is AJ Styles. Heyman tries to quickly leave the ring, whereas he's caught by Styles, who delivers a Styles clash. Now, this is going to be a dynamic where AJ is the face and Lesnar's the heel. Remember that. I'm not trying to make AJ the heel, because that'd be a bit stupid. I probably have the spot where the two guys are brawling, and then they're pulled apart by the assortment of kayfabe security guards and mid-carders, because obviously that means management do care about the feud. They did it with Taker versus Lesnar, and I believe they also did it with Lesnar versus Reigns, so I think that'd be really awesome. The anticipation is killing everyone about who's going to win this match, because it could plausibly be either. I'd have a key narrative point going into the match that in his matches leading up to Mania, AJ just can't hit the Styles clash. He has to keep resorting to the phenomenal forearm. With this knowledge, it's Lesnar versus Styles at WrestleMania 35. And I'd have the match go for 40 minutes, because I think that I know there are people that like long matches, and I know there are people that go, I love matches that are like an hour and 20 minutes, and I go, that's fine. But you can't deny there's a fine line between long and too long. I think that if the time's used correctly, you can make an hour-long match worth watching. Examples, Royal Rumble 2001, Royal Rumble 1992, etc, etc. However, I still do think for a one-on-one between just two guys, unless you're like Okada versus Omega, meaning that there's such a variety of spots, because, okay, I'm not saying that Okada or Omega are necessarily better than Styles, but within the WWE machine, you just can't do some of the things that they do. You can't do a crossbody over a barricade. You can't do tons of stiff knees to the head. There's a lot of stuff that you're just not allowed to do because it doesn't fit the PG criteria. So I'd have AJ Styles kick out of 4 F5s. 4, maybe 5, but I don't want to devalue the moves. I'll just stick with 4. That way, it's not so that the move looks bad, but just the Styles looks really, really good. I'd have Lesnar, because it's Brock Lesnar, kick out of 6 phenomenal forearms, because it's not going to make the move look bad, it's just making Brock Lesnar look like Brock Lesnar. And the finish of the match is probably my favourite thing ever. So Brock Lesnar goes for a shooting star press, as you do, and AJ Styles moves out the way, and hits the Styles clash for the win. And new Universal Champion 2019 is AJ Styles. And the post-match theatrics, I think, I like them. So Lesnar's in a state of decay, he's sweating his bollocks off. He's on the floor, dismantled, almost eroding because of what he's just gone through. Styles looks at him, and then Heyman sees what Styles is doing, and he starts screaming, no, just run away. AJ Styles starts to help Brock Lesnar up off the floor. Heyman even tries to get into the ring, but Styles just looks at him and he leaves. So Heyman's still screaming, no, leave Brock alone, he's going to hurt you. But regardless, he lifts him to his feet, and they just look in each other's eyes. Brock's confused. He's thinking, what does this guy not think I'm going to beat the shit out of him? AJ, instead of running away, opts to lift Brock's arm, and he points at him. Brock does nothing but just stare around in awe. because he doesn't understand what's going on. AJ then looks at Brock and Brock looks at him. And Brock puts his hand out and they shake. AJ raises Brock's arm, points at him again, loads and loads of cheers, and they lock eyes as Brock exits the ring and backs up the ramp. Brock turns around, he walks away, and AJ Styles celebrates with the Universal Championship. And that's how I would book Brock Lesnar's WWE Universal Championship reign of 2017 to 2019, because I'm that guy. Anyways, if you did enjoy this video or agree with what I would have done with the title, please leave a like on the video. I'll see you in the very next one I make. Feel free to subscribe to not miss a video that I produce, and I will see you in the next video I will make. Don't know if I already said that yet, might have done. Wubba lubba dub dub. In the next one, Road to 10k, Rick and Morty. See you later, bye.